If you're having trouble climbing up the ranks in Honor Duel, then this video is definitely for you. I have been asked for a while now to make a tier list of all of the relics, and I started undergoing the task of actually grabbing all of the screenshots of the relics, informations, and stuff like that, and then obviously screenshotting each of the characters so I could think of the best way to convey this information to you guys. And I thought the easiest way to do it would be like the top 5 best win percentage relics that I have used, because I would say in terms of a tier list, the way that Honor Duel works is very it's just personable to your experience whenever you're navigating through the shop after you choose the relic. So there are certain relics. I went through all of my played games on all 3 of my accounts, which are all top 5. One of them is number 1 ranked. The other one is number 5, which is my main account, this one right here. And another one is top 7 or 7th place, sorry, top 10 in Honor Duel. So I've played Honor Duel a pretty good amount now. I would say I have over 300 games in Honor Duel. Easily on each account. No, maybe not each account, maybe like 500 in total on all 3 accounts. So what I did was I created a graphic that we are going to use right now instead of in the game, because the game has no catalog or category section or anything like that. I am a very big noob when it comes to like Photoshop or anything like that. I use a free Photoshop Photopea. So I created everything in here, and basically I grabbed these here on the side. These will be my top 5 ranking ones. So if you're just interested in this portion of it, the top 5 that I would say is Swifty Books, Bone Scroll, Crimson Gem, we have Glowing Blossom, and Pale Crown. But if you sit and stay along with this video, I'm gonna go into each one of those 5 relics and explain the team setup behind them, and also the generality of like the items and stuff you should be hunting for early game, mid game, and late game, which I mean like the blue items, the purple and the orange. So normal or rare, epic, and legendary. Which characters they should go on. I did not have a chance to make a screenshot of all of the pictures, but I can explain what stats you're looking for, which should break it down and make it easier for you whenever you're doing Honor Duel. So without further ado, in no particular order, we're just going to start with Bone Scroll. Bone Scroll right here is one of the very few that I like to go that is very specific to the faction that you're going to be building with it. And now with every faction, obviously you can mix and match characters, but there's some that you want to go purely that entire faction because they get the most bonuses from them. So with Bone Scroll, we have all allied Mauler heroes block first fatal blow taken in the battle, become immune to all damage control effects in the next 2, 3, or 7 seconds based on their tiers, 2 being starting, 3 being legendary, 7 being mystic. The middle passive is always going to be random, so it's not something that I'm going to talk about. Obviously, the middle passive, whatever it is based on the characters that you're building, go for that. If you're going for more of a frontline heavy, go with that. If you're going for a backline heavy, go with that. Depending on what the middle one is, you should understand whichever your carry character is, you want to benefit them the most. That way in the end game, it just gets better. So the last tier of this, once you get to level 2, this one, reach 42 artifact XP to unlock, restores the buffed heroes 50 energy per second when effect is active. So it allows them to get their ultimate off a lot quicker. Now this one being Maulers, we have all of our Maulers right here that are in the actual game itself. Let's see, some of these are doubled up, so we will move some of these down. That way we can see every single one individually, and I think she is, yep, there. And do we have any other doubles? Nope, that should be it then. So these are the 8 Maulers that are going to be available in Honor Duel whenever you're doing your matches. Starting off with something like this, you have a couple different options to go for. Now, the only problem that I have, I'm just going to start off with this. Whenever it comes to doing anything Maulers, I usually leave Smokey out of the equation, and it performs very well. My reasoning behind that is Smokey is a stagnant healer, which means that those characters have to be within his range to get his actual healing done. Obviously, his range gets bigger as he gets stronger in Legendary and Mythic, and then also grants some more passive effects and stuff like that as well. But for the most part, the Mauler team that you're going to be building in Honor Duel, when it comes to like the passive bonuses and stuff that you're getting from any of their relics, usually you want to go with the melee, more focused Maulers. These give you a more utility. Also, itemization for Maulers is just warriors and melee characters is just a little bit better in the options when it comes to Honor Duel, except for a couple that do work very well for ranged or rangers and stuff like that. But unfortunately, in Honor Duel, I feel like Odie, for this specific one right here, he just kind of falls off because he probably does require like a healer or something like that to stay next to him. But if you're leaving a spot, or if you're losing a spot to have, two characters just to have one perform, while the other, 3 on the field are not benefiting from Smokey at all, then it just feels like a waste to me. So most of the time, whenever I go with this, I do not use Odie and I do not use Smokey. So we're left with these 6 right here. Whenever it comes to the teams that you're facing, it's always good to grab these 6, and you want to build up each one as much as you can. The more characters that you have built up, the faster you get your artifact XP to get to level 2. And 50 energy per second when is active, which is 2, 3, and 7. So you're getting a total of 350 right here. You're getting a total of 150, 150 right here, and 100 right here. I'm sorry, this is 350. I was correct. So that's a lot of energy once you get to late game to allow them to get their ults off a little bit quicker, especially when you have characters like Shakir and Seth that just start popping the absolute ever-loving off whenever they get their ults. So the entire thing around this team with the Bone Scroll is getting you a solid tank. You usually don't want 2 of them. You'll have Brutus as the off tank, and sometimes you can just put him straight in the front because he's going to get that double immunity off from the Fatal Blow because of his passive and the Bone Scroll. So he acts as an insane tank as well. Plus he becomes immune to all damage and control effects. It's just a very wicked combination with Brutus in this right here. Stack him with some decent damage items, and you will see that he will perform very well because he is just being able to ult. Now, on the contrary to that, another really good item to have for Brutus once you get into late game, the legendary items, I don't remember the name, but it's the flower staff. It looks like a flower staff. Whenever you ult, it CCs, it stuns any targets hit by his ult because he has an AoE ult. Obviously, you get the picture in that. It'll stun the characters and give everyone else enough time to get into that. When it comes to your tanks, I think that one is pretty straightforward for like early game and mid game. You want to go with the chest or any of the items that give you like the helmet where you can buff the attack behind you of any characters and stuff like that, just to create like different combinations. Or you can even go with the energy recharge ring at the beginning as well. As for the purple items, there's a couple good options that you have for any tanks and stuff like that, and this goes in tandem with any tanks in the game. They pretty much build the same thing regards to early and mid game on any scenario, any faction, any relic. But as for the ones that I like to build, I like to get the chest that gives them a taunt. It gives them a taunt every 5 seconds, so that way it pulls off the damage from the rest of your team, which is also good because we know that they're going to be blocking the Fatal Blow from here. Also, if you even want to be more annoying, you can get the chest piece. It's a it's an epic, the purple one, that allows you to block another Fatal Blow. So you can even get double Fatal Blow blocking off of the chest and this passive from the Bone Scroll as well. Moving on to these 3 damage dealers down here. Obviously, with Satrana being a mage or a magic damage dealing meleeer, that was a tongue twister, you can build anything that boosts her ult or allows her to get her ult quicker as well, or any survivability items works very well on her. The way that her ult works is kind of just damaging any enemies around her, and since we are an all melee heavy team with this Bone Scroll, then you want to utilize doing that in a correct manner. When it comes to Seth and Shakir, they use about the same items. Early game, you want to get that little dagger that just gives them some physical damage. If not, attack speed is also good earlier on. And of course, if you're not hitting either of those items, don't feel shy to grab chest pieces for any characters just to give them that 12% shield and survivability. It works very well, trust me, on any melee character early on, up until around turn 3 when people start getting more of the epic items, then it kind of falls off. As for mid game, you have a couple different choices as well. For either of them, you can go with like the bonus attack damage, where it's the axe, I believe. It gives you the bonus attack damage and then a little bit of lifesteal as well. As for late games, it really depends on late game. You can go for the Arbiter's armor and then the Arbiter's sword on one of them. If you want to, that's a good combination. It works very well with this relic, and it works very well with the Maulers as well, just their synergy and how they work. You can go with that. My favorite one to go with for Shakir is definitely the one that costs no energy to use his first ultimate. That way he can kind of get in his pop-off mode where he turns golden and goes on all fours, and he's kind of like just beast mode going around slapping everyone's brains. That's what you would want to go for that. Same thing with Seth. He does perform better with like the light. It's like a bag or something like that. It looks like a little like a bigger bag. It does lifesteal and attack damage on that one. So that is pretty much it for the Bone Scroll. We'll go ahead and move on from there. As for the next one, we'll go with the Swifty Book. Now the Swifty Book is interesting because this one doesn't designate which faction gets the most benefits and everything from it. So on this one, obviously you can go with any of the factions. Now, when it comes to my favorite faction on this one, again, actually Maulers is a very good one on this. Same kind of setup with their items, very similar setup with like the people that you would be going with as well. When you're teleporting them and it's stunning them for 1.5 seconds, it's just, it allows for more pop-off time for any of the teams. And there's certain teams that are, they need the battle to go on for a couple of seconds before they start popping off. Maulers is one of them, but since we already went over Maulers and their items, then same kind of scenario for this. We'll go over someone else. Another one that I like to go with this on this one is going to be the Light Bearers. And the Light Bearers right here, let me make sure everyone is here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so everyone's here. On the Light Bearers right here, with the teleporting, you can go 2 different routes. So one of them being the Merrily carry, or one of them being the Temesia carry. And what I mean by that is a lot of people are like, hey, why are you making a tank the carry? Well, she does a insane amount of damage and CC and controlling the field, especially when you stack really great items on her. Same kind of thing that we were talking about before on the tanks. Any of those items would be really great, especially whenever they're just teleporting enemies away. It displaces them, so they reset their targets once they come out of that displacement. With Temesia running around and just randomly grabbing aggro from a bunch of different enemies, it allows for her to survive at a much higher rate than she normally would on any other team. Now, going in here, you can go a couple different directions. If you're going the Merrily carry, then obviously we don't need to go Vala and we don't need to go Mirel. It would be between these 6 characters right here. Because it's the displacement, you're probably better off going with one more melee character. So Cassidy, unfortunately, she can sit this bad boy out, and you'd be looking at these 5 right here. Rowan is also one of those things where you want him on the team so that way you can battery your Lucius. Lucius is the most important thing to get the battery on this team, because it allows him to give the shield to everyone, which is going to be your true damage mitigation on this team, along with getting a displacement damage mitigation as well with the Swifty Book. As for these characters, the tanks and the melee, we already went over those items that you would want to get on them early, mid, and late game. As for the rangers, this one is also one of those things where it's very straightforward. I think all of them are bows up until late game, and then in late game it just depends on what other synergy you have. You can go with the Arbiter's Blade, you can go with the for her there, you can go with the book, because the book means every time that she moves around she gets 30% extra damage. Merrily can also go with the sword that gives you 66% increased damage, but it takes away her ability to use her ult. That's okay, because she'll be putting out enough damage alongside with Temesia and them just getting teleported to even have to worry about her needing to use her ult. When it comes to supports, any of the supports, I recommend the same item. There is a purple pendant that basically allows them to cast their ultimate immediately, but then they can't deal damage afterwards, or they get like a reduced damage afterwards on there. Always good to have that immediately. If Rowan can ult, usually it's fast enough to grab all 4 of them. Temesia is already booking it, so you don't have to worry about her getting, she'll get a little bit of it, but they'll get, these 4 will get the full benefit, or I'm sorry, these 3 will get the full benefit of it and allow them to pop off. Now, obviously, if you're going that direction, then you don't want to handicap her by giving her the item that takes away her ult. That wouldn't be a smart move. Other than that, with this team, the only thing I would say, if you didn't go Merrily, you can go Vala, and then you can go away from Corrin, and you can go Cassidy. So you could take Corrin out, and you could do something like this 5 combo right here. Again, Rowan is going to battery these 3 enough to where they all get their ults off, and Cassidy's ult is usually a very good opener whenever you get to that point. You can also give her the same item. You don't really need her to do damage, as long as you're CCing long enough to where Vala starts getting that pop-off potential with her ability, then you should be good to go. Other teams with the Swifty books, we can also look at pretty much every team works with the Swifty books. That's why I like to go with it. As for the Wilders right here, on this, you can go a couple different routes as well. If you are going, so the main carries will be these 4 right here: Arden, Byron, Lyca, and Parissa. These will be your main true carries of the Swifty book. And with that, same item you would want on Hewin. Definitely on every healer, any support stuff like that, you would want that item that allows them to ult instantly. And a lot of times I don't even switch that off. I don't go for a legendary item at the end of the game. I just keep that item on them till the battle is finished, till the match is finished. Same thing with Granny. You want to get her as tanky as possible to survive. With Iran, you can go with that ulting item up until he becomes mythic, where he can ult and then deal no damage afterwards, because usually it's enough for Parissa to get 2-3 ults off once you're legendary with everyone to deal enough damage to start, you know, killing people. Obviously, with Parissa, I like to go the combo with Brian. With Lyca, I like to go the combo with Arden. And if you're doing Brian as the main carry, Lyca works good and Arden works good as well with them. I don't really use Damien that much in this setup because the items are so great for Hewin, because she's an AoE healer and she just gives a lot of benefit and stuff like that, being able to ult instantly when the match starts. As for the items with Iran, kind of the same thing with any of like the rogues or melee dealers and stuff like that. You can go with those. Sometimes I like to go with armor as well on him, anything that just gives him more survivability or anything that allows him to ult more. So like the energy recharge items as well work very well in tandem with that. As for the Graveborn on the Swifty book, this is the one where you don't want to use Sylvina. She'll be sitting out this one. You can go like a Cecia or Viperian and Carolina would be like your main carries for something like this. Niru works very well once you get him to Mythic. If you are able to get him to Mythic, then that is great, because he works very well on any of the teams, because you can basically get like a triple ult out of him within like 5 seconds into the match. With item combinations, along with him being Mythic, he automatically gets that ult right at the start. So that'll be it for the Swifty book. Next up, we're going into Crimson Gem. This one kind of speaks for itself, but we'll kind of just go into it as much as we need, and then once I feel I've covered as much, then we'll go on from that. So this one is beneficial to all allied heroes with flame, or grants allied heroes with a flame when the battle starts, dealing true damage to adjacent enemy heroes equal to 2.5% of their max HP per second. The same target taken damage drops to 35% when hit multiple times by this skill in a second. This one evolves at the end. If the same enemy takes this damage multiple times within 1 second, subsequent damage will no longer be reduced. So once you get it popped up, you will no longer get that debuff, or I guess it's a buff for them, on their heads. You will get the full amount of damage every single time, no matter how many stacks that they take. This one's pretty self-explanatory. It's going to be a Graveborn or Mauler team or Lightbearers. The Wilders just don't have enough melee inside of Hero Duel to really do anything with that. As for the Lightbearers, we would want to go with anyone who can do melee damage. So obviously we don't need Muriel, we don't need Marilee, we don't need Cassidy. It would be something like this that would give the biggest benefit. And Vala obviously would need to have the targets down to a certain percentage to pop into her melee form. So this would be the team that you would be running on this for the Lightbearers. As for the Maulers, I mean, honestly, same exact team right here works very well with any melee as well. On this one right here, I don't like to go Lumont. I like to go Entendre. I just feel like the synergy works a little bit better. As for the Graveborn, kind of self-explanatory. Cecia, Igor, Thorin, Sylvina, and Salazar. So these right here would be the ones that you would want to go with. Why Cecia? Obviously because whenever she pops out her ult, it does actually get the benefit of Crimson Gem. Carlisle does take the benefit of this, so he's able to do that 2.5% on any of the targets. Wilders, they just don't have enough melee right now. It's just Iron, and then obviously, you know, Florbell came out, but she's not inside of Honor Duel yet. So she will be added into here, just not yet. Next up, we have Glowing Blossom. Glowing Blossom, I would say, works with every single class or every single faction, but my personal favorite to go with Glowing Blossom would be Wilders and Lightbearers. These two right here, and you can mix and match. I mean, honestly, you can mix and match any characters. There's no real reason to pick and choose. The itemization, now let me explain something. Damien is god tier outside of Hero Duel, in my opinion. But the itemization for what he offers in Hero Duel versus a Hewin is just a subpar compared to what Hewin can actually offer with the items that they get. On this one right here, once you actually get it to the last thing, you no longer lose that 20% HP when you're casting it right off the bat of the start. So you're getting 200 energy in the next 3 seconds. So you can basically get your first set of ults off very quickly. Usually it turns into killing 1 or 2 people, especially once you get to mid and late game. It just synergizes a lot better once you have the itemization and characters up to legendary and mythic. As for the Lightbearers, on this one, I do like to go this synergy right here. You can also swap out these two and go Cassidy and Muriel because both of their ults is like an AoE synergy. They work just as well along with the Glowing Blossom. Moving on from the Glowing Blossom, I said in no particular order, but I'm gonna tell you right now, this is my absolute favorite. I think it is the most disrespectful artifact and my most hated and most loved artifact in the entire game is the Pale Crown. Anyone who has played Honor Duel and you have come up against this, I know you probably shut out the game and didn't want to play any more Honor Duel for the rest of the day. And this one obviously is specific to Sylvina, but let me tell you something. This is where I like to do split synergy, specifically on, actually Glowing Blossom has some good split synergy, but Pale Crown right here, this one, I think it gets a little bit wonky if you do the right synergy on there. And what I mean by that, because this is based around our girl Sylvina, we definitely don't need to go Carolina. We don't need to go CC. We could go Niru if we get him to Mythic, then you could switch him in, then he's worth it. Igor is in there, obviously. Viperian doesn't have to be. This would be the main team that I would go with this setup right here. All you gotta do is build Savina enough to get at least a one-shot, if not 3 taps, and they're done. Especially when you get to this right here, it just indefinitely stuns the target that she jumps to. So unless they have like a revive like an Igor, or they have a revive like a Thorin, or they have any quirky little ability that just blocks her from actually getting the kill on them when she does the damage, then she will be able to do this. She jumps around like Minato using the flash step, or I mean Minato, like Ichigo using the flash step like no one's business. Also Minato using that freaking, I forgot, the flying Raijin, that right there, it's insane. This is the only, I wouldn't say this is the only, this is one of the only ones where I can say you can switch out some characters. And what I mean by that is you can go with Cassidy. Whenever it comes to this comp right here, Cassidy works very, very well. Where did she go? She's back here. Come here, Cassidy. Cassidy works very, very well with this comp. And obviously we would not be using Niru. Niru would be taking the bench right here. But having Cassidy give the buff to Sylvina, and then also having like Igor or Salazar holding an item to give her a bonus of damage increase, and 100% you would want to go with the highest percentage that gives attack damage to her. So that means you don't have to have her ult. She does not require her ult to get an assist or a kill. The more damage you can stack on her, I promise you it's worth it. She will pop around the field, one tapping everyone, and it is insane. Mid game, she can use that helmet that has the horns on it that says it gives her 100% attack damage, but minus 40% haste, or 40 haste, not percent, 40 haste. It works very well with her, especially if you're doing this combo. If you do not go with this combo right here, I would say the only other character that you would want to pop in here is going to be Hewin, just as a healer to keep her alive and to keep everyone else alive, that allows her to keep on going. Because this one right here, if we read it, damage dealt by an allied Sylvina's first strike is increased by 2.2 times. She cannot be prioritized as a target 8 seconds after using the skill. Each assist or kill on the enemy hero grants an extra attempt to cast first strike again. So every 8 seconds, no, sorry, not every 8 seconds, every assist or kill allows her to shumpo, flash step to the next person. She's very, very squishy. I would argue that she's probably the squishiest character in the game that is not a support. So keeping her alive with a Wilder is not a bad idea at all. That is going to wrap it up for my top 5 favorite relics. I will do another video. I have all the other relics ready to go. I will do another video of basically the rest of them, talking about each one individual. Maybe we can do, this will be my top 5 or the best ones, but maybe in the next ones we can just do 10 relics explaining which teams. We'll make it a little bit shorter because we've already went over everything with the characters and everything like that. So like itemization and stuff, we'll kind of skip that and we'll just do character item or characterization for the relic, so that way you guys can have a clear understanding of that. As always, if you guys have any questions about Honor Duel, if you have any questions about the relics that we talked about or the team synergies that we went over in this video, please let me know down in the comments. I'll be more than happy to talk with you guys there. If you haven't already, we have a Discord that's open. It is growing every single day. We talk about this kind of content in there as well, or these kind of Honor Duels and, you know, different AFK arena stuff, or AFK journey stuff in there as well. But if you guys enjoyed this content and gained some insight and valuable information from it, please think about hitting that subscribe button. It does help me out so much and allow me to bring forth better content every single day. With that, I'll see you guys in the next one.